back. Clearly, for some reason, the internet just switched off completely. You know, it wasn't playing up or anything like that. It just switched off. I have no idea why. Nobody switched the switch. It just shut off. I have no idea why. It's only the second time I've experienced that. It's been a while since the last time it just switched off last time. So I apologise for that, but everything's sorted now. So anyway, as you can see, luckily for you, it went off while I was trying to do the grid. So you're lucky you haven't missed anything. So let's try again, Zoe. Turn this up a little, and let's have a look at the grid for the Belgian Grand Prix. Here we go then. So on pole position, it's Lewis Hamilton with Sebastian Vettel in second. Nico Hülkenberg starts in third with Antonio Giovinazzi in fourth. Romain Grosjean starts in fifth with Max Verstappen in a very impressive sixth in the Martini. Valtteri Bottas starts in seventh with Kimi Raikkonen in eighth. It is then Esteban Ocon who starts in ninth with Kevin Magnussen in 10th position. The two Suomis in the top 10. Sergio Pérez could only manage 11th, struggling in that Eldorado. Pascal Wehrlein in 12th. Charles Leclerc in an impressive 13th with Brennan Hartley in 14th. Stoffel Vandoorne starts 15th, Oliver Rowland in 16th position. 17th belongs to Carlos Sainz Jr., 18th belongs to Daniel Ricciardo. The GRM's definitely struggling, and just to confirm that as well, Jean-Eric Vergne in 19th with Ed Jones in 20th. And on the back row of the grid, it's Scott Dixon, and due to his qualifying ban, Fernando Alonso is in 22nd and last. And that is the grid for the Belgian Grand Prix. So there is the grid then, guys, for the Belgian Grand Prix. And the weather, let's have a look. It is bright and sunny, no chance of rain for today's race. So leave your predictions, but without further ado, let's get to the Belgian Grand Prix. So here we are then on the grid then. It is Hamilton on the right, Vettel on the left. Who's going to get the lead into turn one as we wait for the 5 red lights to go off to signify the start of the Belgian Grand Prix here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps in Stavelot. 1 light is on, 2 lights are on, 3 lights are on, 4 lights are on, and 5 lights are on, and it is lights out, and away we go here at Spa-Francorchamps. But it seems to be a very clean start from all the drivers at the moment. Keep an eye on Alonso at the back. It's a good start from Vettel, who's trying to go around the outside of Hamilton. Has Vettel got the lead off Hamilton? Into turn one, they're going to go side by side down the hill, and Vettel just has the edge. Vettel leads the Belgian Grand Prix. Vettel takes the lead into turn one. Looks like Giovinazzi trying to have a look as well. It's been a good start from him as well. Hülkenberg's had a good start. Verstappen somehow keeping it side by side with Grosjean up through Eau Rouge. And has everybody got through okay? Well, a little bit of contact there, but luckily Hartley kept that under control. Alonso's had a good start. He's up to 20th and making his way up through the field. Ricciardo's had a terrible start. But meantime, Giovinazzi's taking second from Hamilton. So up to P2 goes Giovinazzi. And, well, a lot of things going on. Verstappen takes 5th from Grosjean as they go through Leclerc now. There's lots of movement going on. Alonso up into 20th, as you can see, trying to find a way through on fairness. This side-by-side action between Dixon and I believe that's Hartley going around towards turn 8 now then, but Rowland joins in the action and gets up into 17th. Alonso gets up to 19th. He passes Vergne. Ricciardo tries to follow through but isn't able to do so as they come out of Pouhon now then, up towards turns 12 and 13. Vettel finds himself leading, but Hamilton back on the prowl of Giovinazzi, just like he was at Mexico last weekend, as they now come up towards the coming up towards the double right-hander. Hamilton trying everything he can to get on terms with Antonio Giovinazzi as they just come out of that right-hander now then, and up towards Blanchard we go. Hamilton looking to the inside of Giovinazzi. Will Hamilton get the move done? No, not quite. Giovinazzi just able to hold him back for the time being as they go flat out through Blanchard now then, up towards the bus stop chicane. Hamilton looking to the inside of Giovinazzi. Will Hamilton get the move done on the Italian? And he does. Up into second place goes Lewis Hamilton. He gets the move done on Giovinazzi. Grosjean has retaken 5th from Verstappen, unseen by the cameras, as the 2 Eldorados now start to change the Dutchman now then. Coming out of the chicane we go now then. Lots of stuff going on. on. Alonso's up to 18th. He's got through on Dixon. Alonso charging up through the field. He's doing a good job getting back up through the field. He's now down the inside of Rowland. Will he get the move done on Ollie Rowland? And can he try and get Hartley at the same time? No, not quite. Has he outdone himself because Rowland's back down the inside of him? Oh, a little bit of contact between Alonso and Rowland. Alonso's gone for a spin. A spin there for Alonso. Some front wings gone off. None coming from Alonso, it seems. And, wow, contact between Alonso and Rowland there. We need to have a look at the replay to see what on earth happened there. So Alonso tried to get the move done on Rowland, outdid himself there. And, while the contact was there, it's like Rowland didn't leave any space. It's like we've seen previously during this weekend. It will have to be investigated for sure. Luckily, Alonso hasn't sustained any damage. It looks like the damage has mainly come from Ollie Rowland, I think. It's mainly come from his car as everybody tries to get themselves going, it seems. And yes, it is Rowland's car that's got the damage. He's lost some front wing. Alonso gets up into 19th, but he's still got a lot to do. In fact, Dixon has also on the front wing, and somebody's crashed up at the Rouge. It looks like one of the Suomis has had a crash. Don't know which one it was. It looks like, oh, it's Magnussen. Magnussen's had contact with one of the AMPs and has smashed it into the wall at a Rouge corner. Don't know which AMP he had contact with there. We'll have to have a look and see a little bit later on. Sorry for the drop of frames, but Magnussen is out of the race and we're down to 21 runners. Who did he hit? It was Pascal Wehrlein who he hit there. So as you can see, oh, it's similar to what we've seen in the past with these guys. So that's that really now. Then that will have to be investigated as well. So 2 investigations in this race. As Grosjean, as you can see there, under pressure, it seems, from Grosjean, as it looks like Perez, I believe that is, has just put a move on Max Verstappen there, so he gets up through the field, and a lot more frames have dropped there. I do apologise, and well, that's a big lot of frames that just dropped there. I bet that was a massive lag spike on your end there then, but hopefully we can calm things down just a little bit. A lot of chaos in the first few laps, but as mentioned, Hamilton up into 2nd place now then, as Vettel currently leads away, and we're still dropping the frames. It seems a lot of frames are being dropped. It seems on this stream, so yeah, so not good there as far as they're concerned. I don't know why we're losing quite a lot of what's the word I'm looking for, frames there. So meantime, Grosjean putting the pressure on Hülkenberg, and it was Perez that put a move on Verstappen there, so he gets up through the field, and again more frames are being dropped. I do apologise for that. I don't know if it's caused by my shouting in any way with the frames dropping, but maybe it can't handle it sometimes. But now in towards Blanchimont now then we go, and Verstappen having to fend off now from Kimi Räikkönen. He's now looking to the inside of the Dutchman. Will Räikkönen get the move done? And he does, up into 8th place, I believe that is. No, 7th place. I do apologise for Kimi Räikkönen, as Vettel has set the fastest lap of the race now then. So meantime, Hülkenberg still trying to fend off a bit from Grosjean. Again, I apologise for that drop of frames. It's 2 seconds the gap between Vettel and Hamilton in this race as they go up towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner now then, heading down the Camel Straight before approaching Leclerc. And so as you can see, Hamilton pulling a bit of a gap on Giovinazzi's. Meantime, Grosjean still struggling to find a way through on Hülkenberg at this stage, as now this time though Grosjean looking to the inside as Dixon's in to repair that front wing, and I wouldn't be surprised if Rowland does as well. As up into 4th place goes Romain. Please stop dropping frames every time. That's a bit of a glitch with OBS, to be honest with you. Anyway, we are back. So I don't think you really missed much, to be honest with you. But let's continue, shall we? As more frames continue to drop. Please stop dropping frames. Please sustain. As let's try and continue then. So Perez now trying to get onto the prow of Nico Hülkenberg, who's running quite a bit heavy, it must be said, in this race. I think kind of a similar fuel load to what Max Verstappen's running. Verstappen running very heavy as well. I don't know if was you able to see the fuel loads, guys, before it went off? That's what I want to know. Did everybody catch the fuel loads? That's what I want to know right now. In fact, we'll have a look at the gap and see what the gap is like between Vettel and Hamilton. It's now up to 3 seconds between the pair of them, so more editing nightmares to get this up on YouTube. Thanks a lot. As Vettel leads the way at the moment in this rate, and that's that really. So 7.4. So apparently it didn't show the me showing the fuel loads there. So 7.4, 10.4, 6.5, 7.5, 18.5, 8.5, 10.5, 18.5, 12.5, 20.5, 9.6. As an engine problem for Wehrlein, but he was on 10.6, 11.6, 8.6 there. We'll try and get to Wehrlein a little bit. 12.5, 6.5, 11.5, 20.6, 20.7, 14 litres, 21 litres. They obviously pitted for some more fuel because of losing front wings a little earlier on. But Wehrlein has an engine failure. He's got a fiery engine coming out the back of his car. There it is, a fiery engine for the AMP. And it looks like it's going to be race over then for Pascal Wehrlein, as he just comes around the corner with no name. And that is the end then for Pascal Wehrlein. He is out of the race, and we're down to, I want to say, 20 runners now in this race, because Magnussen crashed out a little earlier on at Eau Rouge. So Wehrlein joins the retirement list as he just trundles down P1, and he's going to pull off towards the left hand side of that corner then. So Wehrlein out of the race, and we're down to 20 runners in this Grand Prix. It allows Alonso to get up the field a little bit more. So that's that really, as the fire from the back of Wehrlein's car continues there. He's just got to get to a fire marshal really to get that extinguished. But there you go then. So Wehrlein, there he goes then, pulls off, and he's out of the race. And of course we're now down to 20 runners. So Wehrlein's race has ended with a fiery engine. So obviously it will lift those guys up a position. Meantime, Sebastian Vettel, who's leading the race, is now on lap 6 of 44 in this Grand Prix as he comes around the Combe, as he continues to pull away a bit from Hamilton, probably because of the little bit less fuel that he's got in the tank compared to Hamilton. He's trying to take advantage of that as he can, because he knows straight line speed, he's not up. It seems the EMR is not up there with the Etihad, but maybe in terms of strategy they could outsmart the Etihads if they can today around the track, which should really benefit the Etihads just because of the straight line speed. But that's that really now then, as Vettel continues to try and get away from Hamilton. The top three kind of separated now. Grosjean fourth. Meantime, Hülkenberg still having to fend off from Sergio Pérez, as these two continue to fight it out for P5 in the race now then, as I come out of the second part now then, up towards turns 12 and 13. I thought for a minute there Pérez was possibly going to try and have a lunge onto Hülkenberg, but didn't that time around, coming out of the left-hander before approaching the double right of turns 14 and 15 on the track. And as you can see, Pérez now starting to line up Hülkenberg for a pass. Will he be able to do so now then? Pérez looking to the inside of Nico. Can Pérez grab 5th place from the German? And no, not quite. Hülkenberg just shutting the door through the first part there. Raikkonen trying to close in onto this battle as well in the Suomi, as now Pérez now looks to the inside of Hülkenberg. Will he get him into the bus stop chicane? And it's going to be quite tight there. A little bit of argy-bargy, and a wheel loose there for Sergio Pérez. The wheel has come off loose. There's contact between Hülkenberg and Pérez at the bus stop chicane there. Then we're going to have to have a look at the replay of that as they come around the second part. Let's see. So Pérez goes to the inside of Nico Hülkenberg there then, and it was always going to get tight at that bit. It punted Pérez up into the air, and the wheel was gone. So that'll have to be investigated for sure, that incident. So it now puts, I think, Ocon now into the points for Martini. So Pérez out of the race, and we're down to 19 runners as a result. And like I said, it was always going to get tight at that bus stop chicane. It puts Alonso up another place, but that incident between Hülkenberg and Pérez is under investigation. So I think that's now 2 incidents I need to investigate in this category. None for GP2, but 5 for GP3. So a long night after I do the AOR commentary, that's for sure. I've got to host that stream, which I'm kind of nervous about, to be honest with you, because I fear that something will go wrong on my end and might have something similar to what Ollie had last week, despite the test that I put in which is unlisted, by the way. My test stream appearing okay. I'm still a tad bit nervous, let's put it that way. But anyway, Vettel continuing to have a comfortable lead in front of Lewis Hamilton at the moment, but that's that really. And yes, it does put Ocon into the points, so he's currently in P8 at this stage now then, as I come down towards P1. And Ocon currently in the final points places at this stage as he comes out of the corner. Up towards turn 12 and 13 he will go. as he tries to reel in onto Valtteri Bottas in front of him at this stage. And I think around about a few laps time we should see the first round of stops getting underway. Probably around a couple of laps you could be seeing race leader Sebastian Vettel coming in around about, well, I'd say the first pit stops will come around about lap 9 to 16 probably, or lap 9 to 17 I should say. So Vettel may be pitting in around 1 or 2 laps. He's staying out for now. I'm predicting probably lap 9 he'll pit, so the next lap. But we will see anyway as Vettel just comes out of La Source, heading down the support pit straight now then. As they now go up towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. As now they just come up the hill now then, down towards the Camel Straight. And now up towards Lacumi will go. And Hamilton trying to get hold of Vettel if he can. And so that's that really. Meantime, Leclerc finds himself into the top 10, trying to reel in onto Van Dorn in front. Of course, no, it's not Van Dorn, it's Verstappen in fact. In the heavy fueled Martini. He's running the heaviest out of Ocon, so it looks like Verstappen, like he did in real life earlier on today, trying to go for the one stop, it must be said. And I think maybe Hülkenberg and a few others are thinking of doing the same thing. So it seems to be split in terms of the pack on what's going to be the best strategy, either the 2-stop or the 1-stop. It's very clear that the top 3 are definitely choosing the 2-stop, it must be said, and it seems that Giovinazzi is running lighter than the top 2 in front of them, but just can't seem to get a grip of either Vettel or Hamilton in front of the moment. So that's that really. Is now Vettel up towards the double right-hander he will go. As I said, I predict that maybe him and Giovinazzi will probably pit next lap around. Hamilton will probably lead it for about 2 or 3 laps before he makes his first pit stop. As you can see, it looks like Grosjean's even starting to reel in on teammate Giovinazzi, so he's looking to try and get the final podium place off him if he can. Remember, these two collided with each other last season, which inevitably cost Grosjean of a first ever Grand Prix victory, and Grosjean will be adamant not to repeat that this season as he now closes in onto teammate Giovinazzi as they just negotiate around the bus stop chicane. Ocon starting to lose time a bit now to Bottas in 8th place, as 9th for Verstappen, still doing decent despite being on a heavy fuel load. Now, is Vettel pitting this lap? No, he's staying out for an extra lap. What about Gio? Gio is on the other hand, so Antonio Giovinazzi is pitting this lap on lap 8 of 44, so he'll be the first of the leaders to pit for his first of 2 scheduled stops here at Spa-Francorchamps as they come down the Kemmel Straight now then. Giovinazzi trying to get a grip of Hamilton in front if he can, and at the same time Grosjean, his teammate, starting to breathe down his neck, so the gap's pretty decent in the top 4 at the moment in this race. I want to see what's going on with Alonso at the moment in this race, how he's doing at the field. Well, he's up into 11th place at the moment, ahead of compatriot Carlos Sainz, so he's making his way up through the field quite nicely despite the contact he had with Roland a few laps ago, which is under investigation, as he's now trying to close up onto Leclerc. So Alonso at the moment in a shadow Mercedes sandwich, and then at the same time it looks like Leclerc in fact is actually starting to close in onto Verstappen, so pretty much a win-win situation for Alonso to possibly get 2 places, considering it looks like Leclerc is lapping quicker than the heavy fueled Verstappen at this stage as they come around the corner with no name, which is turn 9, heading down towards P1. So meantime, we need to keep an eye on Giovinazzi because he is pitting at the end of this lap. He'll be the first of the leaders to make a scheduled stop as the sparks continue to come off the back of his Bud Light Lime. Through towards Blanchimont he will go now then, as he will flip the car through the second part. Flatty will go, as he will now go straight on into pit lane now then. So into the pits comes Antonio Giovinazzi for his first of 2 scheduled stops. The Bud Light Lime Motorsport mechanics are waiting for him as he will now put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel as he slots into his pit box. Wipe of the visor, change of tyres, and we're on lap 10 of the race. I do apologise, it was lap 9. It was previously, it seemed that the computer didn't update itself, but it's an 11.7 second stop for Giovinazzi. Where's he going to come out then after this stop? Remember, he's got to keep within the speed limit until he reaches the pit exit line, as Alonso's in as well, so he's going for a similar strategy to what Giovinazzi is as he tries to get himself back up through the field. And let's see where Alonso will rejoin then after this pit stop, it seems. So running a little bit less than what Hamilton is running in this race, his teammate. But where is the defending champion going to rejoin now then? As he just goes trundling down pit lane, he will then flick off the pit limiter, and Alonso rejoins in 15th position in front of Verne, but with clear track in front. So a win-win situation there then for Alonso. As race leader Sebastian Vettel is pitting at the end of this lap. So Vettel pitting for his first of 2 scheduled stops. The race leader will be coming in this lap on lap 10 of 44 in this Grand Prix. Vettel just flicking it through the right-hander now then, as he comes up towards Blanchimont now then on the track. And so now around the first part and in towards the second part now then we go. And the sparks continue to fly out the back of the EMR. We'll see him go straight on into pit lane, which he does. So into the pits comes race leader Sebastian Vettel for his first of 2 scheduled stops now then. Let's see where Vettel's going to be joining us. Also coming in will be Romain Grosjean for Bud Light Lime. So the EMR and Bud Light Lime mechanics out at the same time. Where is this going to put Vettel out on track now then, as he looks to try and get his second victory of the season, his first legit victory this season, it must be said, and his first legit victory since the Hungarian Grand Prix of season 2. Grosjean into the pits, and we'll be interested to see where he comes out, considering Giovinazzi pitted earlier. Will he be doing enough to try and leapfrog him? Vettel coming around the hairpin now then, and Vettel rejoined in 4th position behind Kimi Raikkonen. So he's come out in a bit of traffic, so Hamilton hoping if he gets held up a little bit there. As meantime, Giovinazzi's still out in front of Grosjean, so no leapfrog there between the Bud Light Limes. And so that's that for him really, as Giovinazzi tries to threaten Verstappen in front on his heavy fuel load as they come down the pit straight, down the Kemmel straight. Hamilton not expected to pit for another 2 laps, I'd say, so he's hoping to try and stretch this out to see if he can either leapfrog Vettel or try and get close to him after the pit stops. With traffic around Vettel, it could help the Brit try and get in front, but we will wait and see when his first pit stop arrives in a couple of laps, as he comes up through turns 12 and 13 on the track, as he flicks the car in through the corners now, then up towards the double right-hander he will go. And out of the corner through the right-hander now then. And then he'll come up towards Blanchimont. And Hamilton, sparks coming off the back of his car now then. Through the Blanchimont he'll go. And then into the second part. Flicking the car in as he will now approach the bus stop chicane. All attempts to try and leapfrog Vettel into the pits through the final few corners then. Go Lewis Hamilton, and he now starts lap 12 of 44 in this Belgian Grand Prix. So meantime now Vettel getting onto the prowl of Raikkonen. He's not wasting any time whatsoever. He needs to get through on Raikkonen pretty quickly because he doesn't want Hamilton leapfrogging him into the pits. So down the pitch straight we go. Vettel trying to get within the slipstream of Kimi Raikkonen as they come down towards the source now then through turn 1 out of the corner as he heads down the hill towards the support pit straight. Vettel possibly going to try and line up Raikkonen for a pass up towards the Kemmel straight. He's not close enough to possibly make one up through Eau Rouge. Through the daunting Eau Rouge corner, can Vettel get a run on Raikkonen? Down the Kemmel straight now then up towards Leclerc we will go. Will Vettel get the move done as Van Dorn comes in for his first of 2 scheduled stops? It doesn't look like Vettel is close enough, so at the moment Raikkonen definitely holding up Vettel at this stage, and I think Raikkonen will probably be pitting about a lap after Hamilton, so Vettel really needs to get past him very quickly. Could he possibly try and make a move down to turn 8? No, he doesn't think about diving it into that corner there then. So that's that for him, as Hamilton leads the race at the moment. And so now through the corner with no name, will Vettel try and move down into P1? Let's see now then. Vettel tucks up, doesn't think about a move through into that corner. Through P1 we go now then. Will Vettel try and line him up towards turn 12 now then? Down up towards turn 12, will Vettel try and move on Raikkonen? No, he doesn't. Thinks better of it as they go through the right and left-hander on the track. Vettel, will he try and get him into turn 14? No, not close enough that time around as they flick the car in through the section of corners. Vettel, will he get the move done possibly into Blanchimont? He gets into the slipstream of Raikkonen. He's going to look to the inside. Will Vettel get the move done on Kimi Raikkonen this time around? No, Raikkonen shutting the door on him there now then. Through the second part, will Vettel try and line him up for a move into the bus stop now then? Vettel looks down the inside. Will Vettel get the move done on Raikkonen this time around? And yes, he does. Up into 3rd place goes Sebastian Vettel, and now can he try and get a hold of his teammate Nico Hülkenberg? Will there possibly be team orders in play at EMR, as Hamilton will be pitting at the end of this lap? So Lewis Hamilton will be pitting at the end of lap 13, I believe, of 44. So Hamilton pitting at the end of this lap, and Vettel should be still out in front, judging from the gap between them. Just a bit of an estimate, but how far behind will Hamilton be after the stop as Leclerc pits for his scheduled stop? As now Vettel starts to get away from Raikkonen. Giovinazzi still stuck behind Verstappen. That won't help him out at all. And so that's that really. Grosjean, whereabouts is Grosjean on the track? Has he actually passed Giovinazzi on track somewhere? He has. So unseen by the cameras, Grosjean is now in front of Giovinazzi. And in fact, he's got past Verstappen. So now Grosjean should be into a legit podium as a result. So up into third place he will go. As he just goes through Leclerc. And Giovinazzi still being stuck but behind his future teammate Max Verstappen when he joins Martini next season. So that's that as Alonso starts to close in on the man who'll be replacing him next season, Daniel Ricciardo, try and make his way up through the field after making a first stop a little earlier on. Meantime, back to Hamilton. As mentioned, he is pitting at the end of this lap for his first of 2 scheduled stops as he comes around Blanchimont now. Then around the left-hander we will go as he flicks the car in through the corner. And now he will go straight on then, and into the pits comes Lewis Hamilton for his first of 2 scheduled stops now then. Where is Vettel on the track? As he pulls into pit lane now then. And so, let's see then where this is going to put the pair there, where it's going to put Hamilton out now then, as he finishes off his pit stop. Look like the Sawami mechanics are getting ready for Raikkonen, it looks like. Vettel is coming down pit straight now, and I think he should still be in front of Hamilton, as Hamilton's only just coming up towards that right-hander, so Vettel should still be in front, but how far in front is he? And the answer is not that far, to be honest. Looks like Hamilton's gained quite a lot as a result of Vettel being held up in by Raikkonen, so whilst Hamilton hasn't got the jump on Vettel, he has closed up quite a bit since the pit stop. Now, can he try and go after him now that he's on fresher tyres? And the question will be, will there be now team orders at Hülkenberg? Because now Hülkenberg temporarily leads the race, but it looks like he's doing the one-stop strategy. And I wonder, as mentioned, will there be team orders at East Midlands Racing for a call for Nico to let Sebastian through, due to the fact that they're both on a different strategy and in a different race to each other. Through turn 8 we go now then. And now coming up towards the corner with no name, which is turn 9. Out of the corner we go, using a lot of curb on the outside. Hamilton trying to keep up and try and close up to Vettel as best as possible in this race now then. As here is Bottas also doing a similar strategy to Hülkenberg, so it looks like he's trying to go for the one stop in this race. Ocon should be pitting in a few laps time, as Giovinazzi, on seen by the cameras, has finally got past Verstappen, so up to 7th place goes Antonio Giovinazzi, as Verstappen in 8th place at the moment. Sainz trying to close him up now in the shadow. So meantime now then, Vettel starting to get close to the back of Hülkenberg. As mentioned, will there be team orders at East Midlands Racing for Hülkenberg to let Vettel through? Let's see now then, going through the chicane. Hamilton's getting close, so they need to react pretty quickly as they come around the final few corners now, then down the pit straight. Vettel still unable to get close to Hülkenberg at this stage. Hamilton getting closer to the 2 EMRs now then, through towards the first corner now then we go. As coming out the corner, Vettel trying to get Hülkenberg if he can. He'll probably have to wait now for the Camel Straight to make the move stick. As they go up through the daunting Eau Rouge corner, will Vettel get the move done on Hülkenberg as Sainz pits for his first of 2 scheduled stops down the Camel Straight? Will Hamilton get the move done on Hülkenberg this time? He doesn't appear to be close enough to his teammate, so possibly frustration down the EMR camp, it seems, as Hamilton is getting closer now to Sebastian Vettel. So we could have an almighty scrap for the lead of this Belgian Grand Prix as they come up now towards turn 8 and then into the corner with no name. Through we go then into the right-hander and up towards turn 9 we go. Vettel getting close now to the back of Hülkenberg. Will he try a punch of a move down up into P1? He's going to look to the inside if it's possible. And Hülkenberg tries to leave him the space, but Vettel unable to make that move materialise. And now look how close Hamilton is now to the back of these two. This is getting quite tense now. And I think James is possibly stumbling his... pretty much feeling a bit nervous now that Hamilton's right behind the pair of them at this stage. He'd rather have Vettel in front of Hülkenberg at this stage for this lead, because look how close Hamilton is getting now to Vettel. Vettel looking to the inside of Hülkenberg. Hamilton though trying to look to the outside. That's getting tight. Hamilton thought better of it and backed out of that one. Didn't want to risk it there. Coming up towards the bus stop, will Vettel punch a move on Hülkenberg this time? And in fact, oh, a big lock up there. It looked like... Looked like Hülkenberg broke very early there, and Vettel had to jam on the brakes there to ensure he made the corner. And now Hamilton is in prime position to try and get him. As you can see, Vettel going defensive. Looks like the A&P mechanics are into the pits. Oh, that looks like Martini. In fact, it's Ocon who's into the pits now. So the Martini mechanics are getting ready for Esteban Ocon. So he's in for a pit stop as he looks to get some points in this race. Going through Eau Rouge now then. Down the Kemmel Straight we will go. Can Vettel get Hülkenberg this time around down the Kemmel Straight? He needs to be aware of Hamilton, who's trying to get up with him now then. As again Hülkenberg goes defensive, and I bet James is getting frustrated at this point. Going through Leclerc now then. And will Vettel possibly try and dive it down the inside of the turn? Right, he's going to look to the inside, and that's very close between the pair of them. He's trying everything to get through on Hülkenberg. Out of the corner we go, and at last Vettel passes Hülkenberg. So Vettel into the lead, and now he has his teammate between himself and Hamilton. So he hopes that Hülkenberg can fend off from Hamilton if he can through P1, and Hülkenberg shuts the door. So Vettel now trying to get away from Hamilton now that Hülkenberg is pretty much fending him off at this stage now then. As out goes Max Verstappen. Verstappen out of the race as Hamilton has now taken second from Hülkenberg into turn number 12. What's happened to Verstappen? And there he is. He's crashed out. That looks like at Leclerc. I think he's crashed. What on earth has happened there to Max Verstappen? He's crashed out at Leclerc. Did he hit somebody by any chance? Well, we don't know. In fact, he only just caught on to this point. Well, whatever's happened, Verstappen, a chance for points has gone down the toilet, and he's out of the race, and we're down to 19 runners, I believe, as a result. So Verstappen out of the race, and now it's down to Ocon to get some points for Martini today. And as mentioned, Hamilton up into second, getting the move done on Hülkenberg, and now trying to set his sights on race leader Sebastian Vettel, as now these two will scrap it out for the lead of the Grand Prix. Dixon in for his first stop of the race, as now up towards Blanchimont now. Then we go. Vettel trying to keep back Hamilton as best as possible. And now up towards the bus stop we go. Luckily for Vettel, Hamilton wasn't close enough to make an attack on him into those section of corners. Hülkenberg now starting to lose time from the top two as a result. What is the gap between Hamilton and Vettel? So on lap 17 of 44, 5 laps away from the halfway point of this Grand Prix. And what is the gap now in between them? 0.4 seconds is the gap between the top two at this stage as they head down the hill towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner now then. And Vettel hoping he could keep back Hamilton down the Kemmel Straight. Will Hamilton possibly try and go for a move on Vettel down the Kemmel Straight now then, as now in towards Leclerc. Hamilton trying to get close, but it doesn't look like he's close enough that time around. So Vettel keeping in front for the time being now then in this race. Sorry about that. Is now down towards turn 8 on the track now then. Hamilton trying to put the pressure on Vettel, as you can see in the background there. Look, Hülkenberg starting to lose time thanks to his heavy fuel load, as he looks like he's trying to go for the one stop in this Grand Prix. Through P1 we go, and Hamilton not close enough to make an attack on him into turn 12 now then. Meantime, Grosjean's getting close to the one stopping Bottas. Alonso, meantime, is into the point, so he's up into 8th place. He's passed Ocon, unseen by the cameras. So up into 8th place goes Fernando Alonso as he makes a fight back after his qualifying ban and the collision he had with Roland a little earlier on, which is under investigation. Let's not forget. So now up towards Blanchimont we will go. Hamilton getting a run on Vettel. Now then through towards the first part we go. Into the second, Hamilton had a look, but had to back out of that one as Vettel shut the door through into there. Hamilton now then trying to pretty much keeping it safe and staying single file up through the bus stop chicane now then, out of the corner now then down the pit straight. And will Hamilton try and get a run on him into La Source? He doesn't look like he's close enough, and he's going to hang back for now. So the pair of them are soon going to be coming up to some traffic as well, so that could help out Hamilton just a little bit at this stage. Up towards Eau Rouge we go. Vettel trying to get a gap between himself and Lewis now then, as they go down the Kemmel Straight now then up towards Leclerc. And will Hamilton try and get Vettel this time around? Up towards Leclerc again. Hamilton not close enough to get Vettel. Vettel doing a good job getting enough of a gap to stay in front of Hamilton down the straight at this stage. But as mentioned, the pair of them are now coming up to traffic, so that could affect the leaders at this stage, just like it did with Hülkenberg earlier on. Vettel nearly losing a place earlier to Hamilton as a result of Hülkenberg pretty much holding up the pair of them through the corner with no name, which is turn 9. As they'll now head down towards P1 now then on the track. So now through towards these next section of corners. And now through towards turns 12 and 13 on the track. And now out of the corner now, then we go up towards the double right-hander on the track now. Then we go Hamilton trying to get up close to Vettel as best as possible. And so now in towards Blanchimont now, then we go. And so now up towards the second part. And Hamilton now then, can he try and get Vettel this time? No, not close enough than what he was previously onto Sebastian Vettel. Sorry, I just had to read a little message there on my iPad from Robert Hunter, I think. As now up towards the source now, then we go. And again, Hamilton not close enough to make an attack on Vettel into turn 1 now. Then could he possibly try and line him up for the Kemmel Straight this time? As these two continue to battle for the lead of the Grand Prix. Up towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. Remember, the pair of them are still scheduled to make another start. Look like there, Hamilton had a little bit of a wiggle in the middle of Eau Rouge, which has compromised his exit, and a little bit there. Vettel can give a little bit of, can breathe a little bit, as again he's not close enough to back him this time around. Lap 19 of 44 we're now on in this Belgian Grand Prix. Vettel leads from Hamilton in second, Hülkenberg third, but you are expecting him to make a one and only stop in the Grand Prix. As Grosjean has passed Bottas, unseen by the cameras. So up into 4th place goes Romain Grosjean, as now Giovinazzi starts to reel in Bottas himself, as Alonso tries to close in on Raikkonen. So that's that really at the moment, as the two shadows are in 10th and 11th, Leclerc ahead of Sainz, as Ricciardo tries to chase down Van Dorn in front of him at this stage. As mentioned, both the leaders are coming up to traffic in the form, I believe it said Scott Dixon, didn't it? Yes, Scott Dixon in the Mars Grand Prix car they're coming up to. As now they come up towards the double right-hander. Vettel's got enough of a gap in front of Hamilton at the moment to stay in front of him going through Blanchimont, so Vettel shouldn't have to worry too much about what the championship leader is doing behind him at the moment as they go through Blanchimont now then. And that's that really. And so that's that then really. That's just his floor, for anybody who was wondering why something was yellow underneath. It's normal for some of the cars as well. It's because the floor is scraping onto the ground. It's probably because of how his car's set up. A few cars had it during the weekend as well. It's nothing, it's not a problem. It's just how his floor is set up for this race. So don't panic for anybody who's thinking that's a problem. It ain't, because anyway, why do you think Hamilton is still keeping up with Vettel at this stage? So as they come down towards Eau Rouge, can Hamilton get a run on Vettel this time around as they come down the Kemmel Straight? Will Hamilton get Vettel this time? He's got a great run, it should say, as now they come down the Kemmel Straight. Will Hamilton finally get Vettel down this straight? Vettel goes defensive, but again, Hamilton not close enough to make a pass on the German at this stage, and they've even got traffic, let's not forget, to contend with in the form of Scott Dixon. So that's that then really, to come around turn 8 on the track. And now coming down towards the corner with no name, which is turn 9, as they now head down the hill towards P1. And Hamilton, he's going to have a look at Vettel down towards P1. Can he get the move done? No, Vettel shutting the door there into P1. It definitely shows that Hamilton has turned up the wick a little bit as he tries to attack Vettel for the lead. And this is getting very close between the pair of them at this stage. Through turns 12 and 13 we go now then, as they go up towards the double right-hander now then. Hamilton trying to get Vettel if he can. Remember, they've got that bit of traffic to contend with as well. Let's not forget Hamilton now then getting a run on Vettel. He's going to look to the inside into Blanchimont. Will he get the move done on Sebastian? No, not quite. Again, Vettel shutting the door through the first part there. But can Hamilton possibly get him into the bus stop chicane now? Then Hamilton down the inside of Vettel. Has he got the move done on Sebastian? And yes, he has. Into the lead of the race goes Hamilton. Looks like Vettel went deep into the corner as well, as it looks like Vettel had to cut the corner there, possibly due to Dixon. But Hamilton now leads the race, and Vettel down into second place. And now Hamilton has got a car between himself and Sebastian Vettel. So Hamilton, for the first time since the grid, I should say, is now leading the Belgian Grand Prix, and now trying to get a move on, as it seems to try and get away from Vettel. He's obviously got that piece of traffic to help him out a little bit, as he now pulls a bit of a gap onto Sebastian Vettel now. Then as they come down the Kemmel Straight, Vettel finally putting a lap there on Scott Dixon. But now realising he's lost the lead, he's got to try and keep up with Hamilton if he can, if he wants to try and get the lead back. And I do apologise for the little drop of frames there. Through the right-hander we will go. As Hülkenberg is now under threat from Romain Grosjean. So Grosjean now onto the back of Nico Hülkenberg as he tries to get the podium off the one stopping Hülkenberg. We believe he's on a one stop anyway. As now through towards turn 8 and then into the corner with no name. Turn 9, Grosjean trying to get a run. Looked like he had to dip down an extra gear there just to try and avoid being into the back of Hülkenberg there. Danny inside into P1, and Hülkenberg, as predicted, shuts the door through that first part there then. As they now go up towards turns 12 and 13 on the track. As they now go through the section of corners. And so now in towards turns 14 and 15 we go. And here we go then, around the right-hander we will go. And let's see if Grosjean's able to try and get the move done on Hülkenberg in towards Blanchimont. Let's see, Danny inside he goes. Nope, Hülkenberg shutting the door through that first part there then into the second part. Let's see, can Grosjean get him this time around as he looks to the inside into the corner. In fact, Hülkenberg's dived into the pit, so Grosjean didn't even need to bother. Hülkenberg into the pits for his one and only stop now then. So let's see where this is going to put Hülkenberg out now then, as the Eldorado mechanics are getting ready for, I believe, Bottas as well. So a battle between the EMR and Eldorado mechanics slightly, even though Hülkenberg had a bit of a gap between himself and Bottas before this one and only stop. And yes, as predicted, the pair of them are on a one stop. So Hülkenberg hoping to make this one stop strategy work out. It is a 15.3 second stop from the EMR mechanics, as Bottas is about to finish his stop as well. So both of them getting a clean stop. Where are Hülkenberg and Bottas going to rejoin now then, as Hülkenberg flicks off the pit limiter and he rejoins in 8th position. Bottas at the moment is going to rejoin in 9th, just in front of Charles Leclerc in the shadow. So rejoining in 9th goes Valtteri Bottas, and that's his pit stop done with. As Alonso trying to gain onto Raikkonen at the moment, but so far just struggling. It seems that Ocon's keeping up with him at this stage, so he's doing a good job at the moment, but not close enough within overtaking range. Remember, both Alonso and Ocon are yet to make another stop, so that's that then really. As meantime, Vettel continuing to fall back a bit now from Hamilton, now that Hamilton has grabbed the lead from him a few laps ago, or a couple of laps ago I should say. As coming out of turn 15 now then goes Lewis Hamilton, as he looks to try and make it 2 victories in a row for him after winning Mexico last weekend. As he'll be hoping to have a healthy lead in the Drivers' Championship going into his home race at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, as he now goes through the bus-stop chicane using all the curb on the outside there. Then here is Vettel just coming out of the corner now, then heading down the pit straight. What is the gap now then between the top two as a result? We've just passed the halfway point, as we're now on lap 23 or 44 in this race. We're 5 minutes away from the 6 o'clock mark, so I would probably think the race will probably finish around about 22, or maybe even 10 to, we'll see. And then I've got to dash off onto my PlayStation to do a few checks for the AOR stream. I've got a host tonight for the F1 side of PS4, so anybody who's interested in that, go and follow the Apex Online Racing YouTube channel, and you'll get to see the live stream at 8 o'clock. Hopefully the footage will be a lot better than last week, because I think Ollie had some sort of issue. I can't remember. I'm hoping I don't. The test stream suggested mine was okay, but I'm still quite nervous, to be honest with you, whether that will still be the case tonight. So yeah, just I'm still quite a bit nervous, because I know that the last stream had quite a few dislikes on it from last time. I don't know if it picked up a little bit in terms of likes, but it was mainly down to Ollie's internet, I believe, that was the issue that caused that. But we'll see anyway, as now we go through turns 12 and 13 on the track. Vettel continuing to drop back a little bit in this race, as meantime we'll see if anybody else is scheduled to stop very soon. We're getting close to the 2 stoppers making a stop very soon, and in fact Ollie Rowland is in. I don't know if he's made a pit stop already, but he's into the pits for Monster Grand Prix, and might as well keep an eye on him, because not really much is happening on the track. And let's see where Rowland is going to rejoin then in the monster car, as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel, which will now see him to the end of the race. And it is a 14.5 second stop for Oliver Rowland, and let's see where he's going to rejoin then, as he'll soon flick off the pit limiter now. Then through the right hander he goes, and Rowland rejoins in 17th and a lap down, so he rejoins 17th place out of 18, just in front of Scott Dixon in the Mars Grand Prix car, as Grosjean's trying to get close to lapping him there then. And so that's pretty much that now then. At the moment, it's here is Lewis Hamilton, who's just coming around Leclerc, and now in towards turns 8 and 9 on the track will go Lewis Hamilton, as he continues to pull away at the front, as Vettel will be pitting at the end of this lap now then. So Vettel pitting for his second and final stop, we believe, and but we'll wait and see. It should be a 2-stop for Vettel, but we'll wait and see. And very early for most of the guys to do a second stop in this Grand Prix, it must be said, but it's very clear that well, clearly they're thinking there's something outside the box in terms of this at the moment. But Vettel will be the first of the leaders to make his second of 2 stops, I believe. I think he will be on a 2-stop. We'll have to wait and see how much fuel he puts in his second pit stop, as Vern's into the pits for GRM for his, I believe, second stop, or maybe first stop. I can't remember if he pitted earlier on or not. But now Vettel up towards Blanchimont now, then he'll go as the sparks continue to fly out the back of the EMR. Through the second part he goes, as Jones is in, and we'll go see Vettel go straight on, which he does. So into the pits comes Sebastian Vettel from second place, and the EMR mechanics are getting ready for him now. Then let's see how quick the stop is going to be then for Sebastian Vettel, as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel onto the car. A quick wipe of the visor, some more fuel, and let's have a look. Yes, he is fuel to the end of the race, so it is a 2-stop for Sebastian Vettel. Where is he going to be joining after the stop? It is a 13.5 second stop, and let's see where he's going to be joining. Antonio Giovinazzi's into the pits as well for Bud Light Lime, so he's in, as is Esteban Ocon for Martini. So both of those guys into the pits. And where is Vettel going to be joined? Vettel rejoins in 5th behind Fernando Alonso, who's pitting at the end of this lap then. So that's where Vettel rejoins then after the stop, as Giovinazzi finishes his pit stop, and he rejoins in 7th place behind the one stopping Hülkenberg. So Hülkenberg, unless Grosjean stays out in front of Hülkenberg after the pit stop, could look strong for a podium, but we'll wait and see, as Gio just goes out of Eau Rouge corner now then, as he goes down to Kimmel Straight. Ricciardo into the pits for his scheduled stop of the Grand Prix. So that's that for him. And Sainz is in as well, so both of these guys in for Shadow and GRM. So let's see where they're going to rejoin then. And Ricciardo and Sainz finished their pit stops, as mentioned. Alonso pitting, as it mentioned on Hamilton's bottom right there. And again, just ignore this little yellow thing on his splitter. That's just how his car sets up. Sometimes other cars are there as well. I think I saw another guy have a yellow on his we've got a yellow flag. In fact, why we got a yellow? We had a yellow flag, and it's Vettel. Vettel's gone for a spin down at Pouon. Well, I believe it's a spin anyway. It does look like a spin because he's facing the wrong way. So a podium has gone down the toilet. When is the German going to get any luck this season? It must be said, he had a pace earlier on for the victory, but now he's spun off at Pouon. And has he beached the car in any way, shape or form? And well, James Willows again kicking himself up where the mechanics, well, where the EMR are based in. And Vettel trying to crawl out of the gravel if he can, trying to get the car moving again. But he seems to maybe, as Vettel beats it, because he's struggling to get the car moving again. Could this be race over for the German, as Alonso pits for his scheduled stop, as he looks to make a fight back after his qualifying ban a little earlier on? Vettel finally managing to get going, but he needs to get a move on very quickly, otherwise it will be a lap down. Vettel gets the car moving, but he's all the way down in 14th position. Will the German get any luck this season? And well, you just have to question that, don't you? That now puts well, Grosjean up to second, but maybe Hülkenberg, perhaps. It all depends really on where Grosjean comes out after his stop, because Hülkenberg is on a 1-stop. Let's not forget, Hartley is in the pits. Where did Alonso come out then after his pit stop? and he came out in 7th, just in front of Charles Leclerc. So that's where Alonso rejoins. He's on 2 championship points, and even still in front of Ocon as well. So Ocon should be in the points again once Leclerc pits, because Leclerc hasn't made a pit stop, his second stop just yet in this Grand Prix, as Giovinazzi starting to fall back now from Hülkenberg, it seems, as Raikkonen staying out for probably another lap, but we'll wait and see, as Hamilton possibly also staying out for about another 2 laps or so in this Grand Prix. But remember, Grosjean is pitting at the end of this lap for Bud Light Lime as he just comes around Blanchimont now. Then he'll then go straight on, so into the pits comes Romain Grosjean from 2nd place. Let's see where the Frenchman is going to rejoin then after this pit stop, as he just flicks on the pit limiter. His mechanics wait for him to go into his box as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel onto the car. Where is Grosjean going to rejoin then? And it is a 12.8 second stop from the Bud Light Lime Motorsport mechanics. And let's see now then, but where Grosjean's going to rejoin as he comes around the right-hander now then. And as you can see, Grosjean has stayed out in front of Hülkenberg, so Grosjean will be up to a legit 2nd place once Raikkonen makes his 2nd stop. So up into 2nd place will go Romain Grosjean in the Bud Light Lime Motorsport car now then, as Hamilton is on lap 27 of the Grand Prix. Raikkonen is pitting at the end of his lap, as is Lewis Hamilton. So the top 2 are pitting this lap for a scheduled stop, and Hamilton looking quite comfortable to make it 2 wins in a row. And just like in real life as well, in the Mercedes, where he won Azerbaijan and this weekend at Spain. So now through towards the right-hander we will go, as he will now come up towards Blanchimont now then, and we'll see Hamilton go straight on into pit lane now then through the first part now then he goes, and then up into the second part as the sparks continue to fly out the back of his Etihad now then, as he now goes straight on into pit lane. So into the pits comes Lewis Hamilton from the lead of the Grand Prix, and Raikkonen should also be coming in as well. As here is mechanics, as he will now put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. And let's see where Hamilton is going to rejoin in after the pit stop. So let's see now then where he's going to rejoin. And it is a 12.4 second stop for Lewis Hamilton, getting the 2 Etihads mixed up. Scott Dixon in, as is Kimi Raikkonen, because I saw the Suomi mechanics there, and there you go, Kimi is in, and Hamilton should still rejoin in the lead, and yes he does. Grosjean too far away to challenge him, so Hamilton again rejoins comfortably in the lead of the Grand Prix, and all things going to plan, he should get the victory here today, but anything can happen in Grand Prix racing, and it usually does. And the last 2 Belgian Grand Prix, the winner hasn't been legit. It's always the last 2 weekends we've had here at Belgium, I should say, have always been decided thanks to a time penalty, but so far that doesn't seem to be the case this season. Last season, of course, Grosjean initially won, but due to taking out Giovinazzi, he bumped down to 5th, giving Alonso the victory. And then in season 2 as well, Hamilton initially got the victory, but due to a collision he had with I believe it was Alonso, when he was driving for Red Bull Audi, he got demoted to 9th place, leaving his teammate Joseph Newgarden at the time, of course, his teammate at the time, Joseph Newgarden, to take the victory. So the last 2 seasons have been won as a result of time penalties, but so far it seems that doesn't seem to be the case, because Hamilton has kept himself out of trouble during this race, as now he just goes around the double right-hander. And as mentioned, is this Lewis's season? We said this at some point last season as well, but surely is this time Lewis's season now then. And so as he goes around the second part of Blanchimont now then, he will now go up towards the bus stop chicane. And so now coming around the final few corners then goes Lewis Hamilton, as he now starts lap 29, I believe now it is. And yes, it is lap 29 of 44 in his Grand Prix, so 16 laps remaining for Lewis Hamilton. Hülkenberg looking solid in 3rd, Grosjean continuing to get away from him at this stage, and even Raikkonen after his pit stop came out in 5th, and now starting to try and attack the guys in front of him at the moment. As meantime, Alonso starting to chase down Bottas for P6, so he's making his way up through the field at this stage as he now just goes through turn 1. Go the 2 former teammates. Bottas was an Etihad driver back in season 1, but ended his contract early at the end of season 1 to join Dorado, which he has done now for the last 3 seasons, and will be for the next 2 as well after signing I believe a contract extension signed a contract extension, I believe, either last season or the season before. I can't remember. Sorry, last season or this season, I can't remember. But Bottas will be at Dorado for at least until the end of season 6. And same with Hamilton, really, at Etihad. He's going to be there till the end of season 6. As now through towards turn 8 and then up towards turn 9 we go. Alonso starting to pile the pressure on his former teammate as he goes out of the corner with no name. Down towards Puon we go. Let's see if Alonso is able to pile the pressure on Valtteri this time around. Now then, through the second part of Puon we go now then, before approaching turns 12 and 13 on the track now then, as Alonso flicks the car in through these section of corners. Through the left-hander he goes, using a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the double right-hander now then on the track. Up towards the right-hander we go. And let's see what Fernando can do now then. Fernando now then is going to look to the inside. Can he get the move done on Bottas? No, not quite. Bottas shutting the door there into that first part now then, as we go up towards the bus stop chicane. Will Alonso try and go for a move into the bus stop? Nope. Both Bottas and Alonso keeping single file into that first part now then. Through the final few corners and down the pit straight. Will Alonso possibly try and get him into last source now then? Alonso looks down the inside. Will he get the move done on his former teammate into last source? Bottas tries to hang it around the outside, but it's not enough, and Alonso takes the place up into 6th place. Goes Fernando Alonso. He gets the move done on Bottas, and he gets up into P6. Next target is Kimi Räikkönen, who's trying his best to chase down Antonio Giovinazzi for 4th, and even Nico Hülkenberg for 3rd. So he's got 2 cars of him, and there's Alonso and Bottas, so they're not far behind. Alonso could even have a chance for a podium if he's got the pace today, and it'd be an amazing comeback from the triple world champion Fernando Alonso. And so he's a double world champion in real life, but he's a triple champion in IFMC. So that really is now through towards the corner with no name, turn 9. Hülkenberg still has a decent gap in front of Giovinazzi at the moment, preventing Bud Light Lime from getting a double podium, as Räikkönen is getting closer and closer now to the back of the Italian as he looks to try and grab 4th place from Antonio Giovinazzi, coming out of turn 11 now then, and up towards turns 12 and 13 before heading towards the exit of sector 2, as coming up towards turns 14 and 15 on the track, as Räikkönen tries everything he can to breathe down Giovinazzi's neck if he can, heading down the run towards Blanchimont as the sparks continue to come off the back of Räikkönen's car now then, around the first part into the second part now then we go, as we now go up towards the bus stop chicane. Through the left, then the right, out of the corner he goes, and in towards the final few corners then go Kimi Räikkönen. Let's see what the gap is like between him and Giovinazzi this time around. 14 laps remaining for race leader Lewis Hamilton, is on lap 31 of 44 here in Belgium. Coming out of turn 1 we go, and let's see the gap. It is 0.8 seconds between the pair of them, 2.9 between Räikkönen and Alonso, so under a second now the gap between Gio and Räikkönen. And he should really possibly have the straight line speed compared to the Audi, because even though it seems that the Audi engine in the back of that Bud Light Line car has improved, I don't think it's still up to the pace of being very good down a straight yet, and even to the point where it's a match for the Ferrari engine. But we'll wait and see. Räikkönen getting closer into the corners now then, and even Alonso starting to get up close as well. Ocon looking lonely in 8th, but still looking good to get some more points for Martini this weekend, even if it is just a 1 solitary point. Through in towards the corner with no name, which is turn 9. So now we come down towards Puon now then, of turns 11, turns 10 and 11. And Gio possibly soon going to possibly feeling the pressure of Kimi Räikkönen very soon if he's not careful. Through turn 12 we go, and then around to turn 13, Räikkönen trying to force Gio into a mistake perhaps, as we go in towards the double right-hander now then. And Räikkönen getting closer and closer. Maybe he's thinking about the way he's gaining on him at the moment. He possibly could get a lunge on him onto the Camel Straight. He's not close enough to get a move on him into the bus stop, but if he's able to be able to catch him up into the corners like he's done previous times now, he should get a run on him, maybe onto the Camel Straight. And I don't think at this point he'll be close enough to get him onto the pit straight, but he did definitely get closer into that corner there compared to Gio. So Gio now coming under pressure from the fin, and as you can see in the background, Alonso starting to get close now to these two as well, so we could have a three-way scrap for 4th place. All of this should allow Nico to get away just a little bit. It'll be what Hülkenberg will be hoping for at this stage. Up through Eau Rouge now then, but again I think it doesn't even look like Raikkonen's close enough that time around to make a pass on Gio, so he's just too far back that time around to make a pass on Giovinazzi as they now head in towards Leclerc now then. Through the right and left-hander he will go now then, as Kimi tries to get him as he can, as he looks to try and get a podium himself along with Fernando Alonso. Through in towards turn 8 we will go now then on the track, as he will now come up towards the corner with no name, which is turn 9. And so now using a lot of curb on the outside there then before approaching P1. And let's see if Raikkonen is able to get him very soon now then, as they will now approach turns 12 and 13 on the track. And now into the corner we go now then. Raikkonen trying to break that a little bit later than the Italian. Out the corner we go, heading in towards turns 14 and 15. Hülkenberg getting away slightly as a result of Gio having to pay more attention to Raikkonen behind, and maybe even Alonso who's getting close to this battle. Now up towards Blanchimont again. Raikkonen doesn't appear to be close enough to possibly get a run on him in towards the bus stop chicane. That's now coming up towards the second part we go. And now up towards the bus stop chicane we go. Raikkonen trying to get up close to Giovinazzi as best as possible, through the left, then the right, using a lot of curb on the outside in towards the final few corners now then, as he heads down the pit straight and up towards La Source we will go. And it doesn't seem that Raikkonen was close enough that time around to make a pass on Gio. So that's that really. So now he heads down the hill towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. And so now up the hill then we go, and again Raikkonen just doesn't seem to be close enough to get Giovinazzi this time around. 12 laps remaining for race leader Lewis Hamilton, as he's on lap 33 of 44 in this Grand Prix. And Hülkenberg coming up to traffic, which is possibly allowing Giovinazzi and Raikkonen to close back in onto the German, and even Alonso as well is getting closer and closer now to Gio and Raikkonen. Up towards turn 8 we will go. And then they'll come up towards the corner with no name, which is turn 9. And Raikkonen doing whatever he can to find a way through on Antonio Giovinazzi. Hülkenberg coming up to that bit of traffic in front. I believe it's Scott Dixon they're coming up to in the Mars Grand Prix car. And no, it's actually the other Mars Grand Prix car, Ed Jones, that Hülkenberg's come up to, and he's struggling to lap him at this stage. Through we go then into these section of corners again. Raikkonen still trying to put Giovinazzi under pressure. He seems to be a bit closer than what he has been before, but can he get a run on him this time around as they come up to, as they'll be coming up towards Blanchimont very soon now then. Around turn 15 we go then on the track. Will Raikkonen try and get a run on him up towards Blanchimont now then, and around the left hander we will go. Can Raikkonen get Gio? He's not at the first part, but maybe get a run into the bus stop. Hülkenberg's put a lap on Jones. Giovinazzi now getting held up by Jones. This could help Raikkonen out a lot. He wasn't close enough to make a move into the bus stop. Alonso getting closer and closer now to these two. Round the final few corners and onto the pit straight we go now then. Gio putting a lap there on Ed Jones, and Raikkonen should try and follow suit, which he doesn't. Wasn't able to get close enough, so now Gio has put a car between himself and Kimi Raikkonen, so that should allow him to get away a little bit, but not too much. Raikkonen now trying to put a lap on Jones just before daunting Eau Rouge corners. Out goes the hometown favourite, Stoffel Vandoorne. Vandoorne is out of his home Grand Prix. What has happened to Vandoorne? It's a double retirement for AMP. Whereabouts is he? And there he is. It is a transmission problem, another transmission problem this weekend. Stoffel Vandoorne is out of the race, and we're down to, I believe, 17 runners now in this Grand Prix. So that is the end of the race then for Stoffel Vandoorne. A double retirement for AMP, and a disappointing weekend as a result. As a result of Hülkenberg being held up by the traffic, Giovinazzi is now starting to get up close again to the German as he looks to try and get that podium place off him now. Then as they go through Leclerc, And around the right hand we go. Now Alonso getting up to that piece of traffic in the form of Jones. Raikkonen's already lapped him as he tries to catch back up to the two of them now then in front. And seems to be doing that so far. He looked like he broke that a little bit later than what Gio did going into turn 8. Around turn 9 we go. Alonso, I think there has just put a lap on Jones. He has, so he's free of the Emiretti's driver. In towards Pouon now then we go. Out the corner, heading up towards turns 14 and 15 on the track now then. So, sorry, turns 12 and 13 we go. Gio trying to get a run on Hülkenberg if he can, still not close enough to possibly make a pass on the German at this stage of the race as they go around the section of corners. Raikkonen getting closer again to the back of the Italian as he looks to try and grab 4th this time around from the Bud Light Lime. Up towards Blanchimont now then we go. Alonso getting close as well to the Iceman, so the Iceman might have more on his plate to deal with more than just Antonio Giovinazzi in front of him now then. Into the bus stop chicane now then for, I believe, the 35th time today, sorry, the 34th time I should say. Hamilton's now on lap 35, so he has 10 laps remaining in this Belgian Grand Prix as we go up towards turn 1 on the track. Raikkonen trying to get Gio as best as possible as they go down the hill towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. Giovinazzi again losing time to Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg starting to get away again from the Italian. Raikkonen not close enough to Giovinazzi this time around. Grosjean probably looking lonely in second place. He is. He's just a little bit in front of Hülkenberg, but a long way away from him to make a challenge to him. As the guys from 4th to 6th go down the Camel Straight now then for the 35th time today. Out of the Coombe we go. Up towards turns 8 and 9 we will go on the track. Hülkenberg flicking the car in through the corner now then. Giovinazzi trying to get hold of Hülkenberg as best as possible. Raikkonen getting closer again to Giovinazzi than what Gio is on Hülkenberg as they now come down towards Pouon now then. Raikkonen still trying to pile the pressure on Giovinazzi as much as possible in this Grand Prix as he will now come up towards turns 12 and 13 on the track. And so now coming out of the corner, heading in towards the double right-hander now then. And now coming around the right-hander now then will go Kimi Raikkonen as he will now come down towards Blanchimont as he tries to close up onto Gio. Sorry about that. As now coming out of the bus stop we go, and now coming down the pit straight as we go up towards La Source now then. Raikkonen getting closer. Looked like he tried to break that a little bit later than what the Italian did into turn 1 there as they now head down the support pit straight now then up towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. And let's see if Raikkonen is able to get Gio this time around now then as they will come up now towards the Coombe. And Raikkonen again not close enough to get Giovinazzi this time around. Alonso's getting closer and closer now to the backside of Kimi Raikkonen as now out of the Coombe we go, as now up towards turns 8 and 9 we will go. And Raikkonen again trying to break that a little bit later than what Gio is in front of him at this stage. Up towards the corner with no name, which is turn 9. Heading downhill towards Pouon now then. Raikkonen, can he try and get Gio possibly this lap? He's getting closer than what he has done before. And now through towards Pouon we go. Raikkonen putting Giovinazzi under some pressure now then as they go up through turns 12 and 13. Hülkenberg continuing to pull away at this stage of the race as he tries to see if he can get this 3rd place to salvage something for EM after Vettel's mistake a little earlier on in the race. Through towards turns 14 and then around turn 15 on the track. Look how close Raikkonen is getting now to Giovinazzi. Can he possibly get a run up in towards Blanchimont now? Then he's going to look to the inside. Will Raikkonen get the move done on Gio? No, not quite. Gio just shuts the door on him there through the first part. Into the second part then of Blanchimont. Up towards the bus stop. Will Raikkonen get him into this corner? Raikkonen's going to look to the inside. Gio tried to shut the door, but it was already too late. And down the inside goes Kimi Raikkonen. Giovinazzi ran out of road and had to take the escape route. But Raikkonen up into 4th place. He gets the move done. And now as a result of Giovinazzi having to take the escape route, He is now into the clutches of Fernando Alonso. Through in towards the source we go. Raikkonen now going to try and chase after Hülkenberg for that final podium place. As now we go down towards the support pit straight now. Then up towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. Can Alonso possibly get a run on Giovinazzi? Down the Kemmel straight now then. Down the Kemmel straight we go. Is Alonso going to get Giovinazzi this time around? He's going to try and tuck up into the Italian slipstream now then. He's going to try and get him if he can, but he's not close enough that time around. So maybe has to wait for maybe Blanchimont to get the move done, or maybe even down into turn 8, just like Vettel did on Hülkenberg a little bit earlier on in the race. Through turn 7 we go, and up towards turn 8 we'll go. Alonso not close enough that time around to get Giovinazzi into turn 8. As now we will go up towards the corner with no name now then. Through the left-hander we go. Hamilton will soon be starting lap 38 or 44 in this Grand Prix, so when he crosses the line he will have 7 laps remaining in this Belgian Grand Prix. Alonso now right all over the backside of Giovinazzi. Can he try and get him into turn 12? He's going to look to the inside into this corner. No, Gio just able to hang it around the outside and keep hold of 5th place for the moment, as Gio continues to lose time now to Kimi, as Kimi tries to pursue Nico Hülkenberg in front of him at the moment. And through towards turn 15 we go. Can Alonso get the move done on Antonio Giovinazzi this time around? He's got to look to the inside into Blanchimont. Can he get the move done into Blanchimont? No, Gio shutting the door there. But can Alonso possibly get a run up in towards the bus stop chicane now then? Into the bus stop, and Alonso not close enough to make an attack on Gio into the bus stop. Maybe try and line him up down to La Source, where he's done most of his overtaking today. Around the final few corners and onto the pitch straight, will Alonso try and get him into turn 1 now? Then he's going to tuck up Giovinazzi, defends, and rightfully so, keeping hold of 5th place for the moment. Alonso not being able to find a way up towards turn 1 now. Then he'll possibly try and get him now into the Kemmel straight, because he's not close enough to get a run up into towards Eau Rouge anyway. He'll try and get momentum up into towards Eau Rouge to try and get Gio, which he does so. Out of the corner now then. Will Alonso get Giovinazzi this time down into the Kemmel straight? I don't know in fact if he's close enough that time around to get him, but we'll see. Down the Kemmel straight up towards the Coombe, and no, he's not close enough to get Giovinazzi that time around. He was just too far back to challenge Gio that time around. And now through turn 7 now then we go. Alonso doing whatever he can to get Gio in this race as they come down towards turn 8 on the track. And Alonso now then up towards the corner with no name, turn 9, flicking the car in, using a lot of curb on the outside now then before approaching Pouan. And now through the left hand there we go. Alonso didn't think about a look into the into Pouan there, which was turn 10, and now he's gonna he doesn't think about looking to the inside of the turn 12 like he did last lap around. He's going to stay behind Gio this lap, as I believe we now have 5 laps, as Hamilton is now got 6 laps remaining in this Belgian Grand Prix. As we're on lap 39 and 44 now in this Belgian Grand Prix. Alonso now getting a run on Antonio Giovinazzi. He's going to look to the inside into Blanchimont. Will Alonso get the move done this time around? Nope. Again, Gio shutting the door through the first part. Will Alonso now get him into the bus stop? He's got a great run coming out of the second part. He's going to look to the inside. Will Alonso get Gio into the bus stop chicane? And Gio again running out of road there. There was no contact, but Alonso takes full advantage and moves up into 5th place there. Then so up to P5 goes Alonso again. Giovinazzi making that same mistake as he did earlier on, and now finds himself down into 6th place. Alonso up into P5 now then, and clearly overconfidence taking over Gio. And now look how close Raikkonen is now to the back of Hülkenberg. So now he's going to try and get that final podium place. Alonso's got a lot of time to gain if he wants the podium instead of Raikkonen or even Hülkenberg. Now we come up towards Leclerc. Raikkonen not close enough to get Hülkenberg this time around as the sparks come up the back of both of their cars. Now then through Leclerc we go. Around the right hand there goes Raikkonen. Alonso. So that's Giovinazzi in touching distance, but he's now starting to get away a bit now from the Italian. Through turn 8 we go, and up towards the corner with no name we will come up to next. Through the left hander, a lot of curb being used on the outside before approaching Pouan now then, flicking the car in through the left hander, out the corner now then, heading down the hill towards turns 12 and 13 on the track now then. Raikkonen looking for any weakness in Nico Hülkenberg. Through the left hander, up towards turns 14 and 15 we will go. So Raikkonen getting close now to the backside of Nico Hülkenberg. Let's see, is he going to be able to get him into Blanchimont and get that final podium place off the German. He's going to look to the inside. Will Raikkonen get the move done on Hülkenberg? No, Hülkenberg shutting the door there that time around. Through the second part of Blanchimont, will Raikkonen get a run on him up towards the bus stop? And no, he doesn't look close enough despite Hülkenberg defending the inside. Raikkonen wasn't close enough to make a pass on Hülkenberg. Now then, through the final few corners, will Raikkonen possibly get a run on him? Down towards La Source now, then down towards turn 1 we go. Hülkenberg goes defensive, and rightfully so, Raikkonen just wasn't able to flick it to the inside in time. Hülkenberg holding on to third for the moment now then as they head down the hill towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. Raikkonen can sense a podium. He looks like, look how close he's getting up through Eau Rouge. He looks like he possibly will get him now down the Kemmel Straight. He's going to look to the outside and they're going to go side by side. No, not this time. He's going to tuck back into his slipstream. Hülkenberg goes defensive. Raikkonen flicks it to the inside. Hülkenberg tried to shut the door on him there, but it was too late. Raikkonen just finds enough room, and Raikkonen up into third place. He gets the move done on Hülkenberg. Up into P3 goes the Iceman there then, and so that's that for him. And Raikkonen gets up into third place. I think second is just not within his grasp. Grosjean's got a big enough lead in front of Raikkonen, so I think the maximum that Raikkonen can get is third place. And now he's got to hope he'll hold on in these remaining 5 laps, because Alonso's starting to chase Hülkenberg himself, and Alonso could be a threat for Raikkonen towards the end of the race. As now towards turns 12 and 13 on the track we go. Alonso starting to gain on Hülkenberg now then as they go up towards the right-hander on the track. Giovinazzi starting to lose time, it seems, to these guys, and it looks like he'll have to settle for 6th place in this Grand Prix. Bottas just too far back to chase him down in the closing stages of this Belgian Grand Prix, and Alonso trying to close in onto Hülkenberg if he can as he goes around the second part of Blanchimont now then. As now up towards the bus stop we go, flicking the car through the left and right hander now then. A lot of curb being used on the outside for Fernando as he tries to chase down Hülkenberg. In front of him now then, up towards La Source we go. And let's see the gap between Hülkenberg and Alonso as we have 4 laps remaining in this Belgian Grand Prix. Let's see the gap between the pair of them. 1.1 seconds is the gap between Hülkenberg and Alonso this time around. Down the hill we go then, up towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. And the sparks continuing to come off the back of the Etihad car now then. Heading down the Kemmel Straight before approaching Leclerc. And now through towards the right-hander we go. And now through towards turns 5, 6 and 7, which is Leclerc of course. And then they'll approach turn 8. Raikkonen hoping he can pull away a little bit from Hülkenberg before maybe the chance of Alonso passing the German, if Nico's unable to defend from the 3-time champ. As now through towards the corner with no name, turn 9. Down the hill we go towards the double left-hander of Pouon. And so now in towards the left-hander we go. The corner. And so now heading up towards turns 12 and 13 on the track. Alonso trying to break that a little bit later than what Hülkenberg is at this stage. Out the corner we go, up towards the double right-hander on the track, flicking the car in through the corner. And now through the right-hander will go Alonso and Hülkenberg. Will Alonso try and get the move done on Nico Hülkenberg this time around? The sparks continue to fly out the back of Alonso's car. Will he get a run on Hülkenberg? He's getting closer and closer now to the German. Will he possibly try and get him into the bus stop chicane if he's close enough? He doesn't look like he's close enough this time around. Hülkenberg goes defensive into that chicane. Alonso might try and get a run on him then. Down towards the pit straight towards turn 1. Let's see now then, down the pit straight. Will Alonso try and get Hülkenberg into turn 1? Hülkenberg goes defensive, but Alonso does a little dummy. Down the inside goes Alonso, and he does it. Up into 4th place goes Fernando Alonso. He gets the move done on Nico Hülkenberg, and up into P4 goes the Spaniard with 3 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. Now 4.3 seconds up the road. It's a bit of a task. Is Kimi Räikkönen for that final podium place for Fernando Alonso, as he now heads down the Kemmel Straight. Giovinazzi looking to see if he can close up on Nico himself for 5th place. As now through Leclerc we go. Through the right, left, and then through the right-hander. How's Vettel getting on? Vettel is currently 11th, trying to close up onto Hartley, but it looks like it's going to be another no points finish for Vettel. He just can't seem to get any luck this season, can Sebastian Vettel, and he's looking to hopefully try and turn that around next weekend at Silverstone, where he has actually won in the past 2 seasons ago. when the team was known as Dorado Racing. He actually won one of his races in season 2 at that track. Meantime, Hamilton's just coming up towards the bus stop chicane, and he will be starting his penultimate lap of the Grand Prix as he comes down the pit straight, as he starts his penultimate lap of the Belgian Grand Prix as he goes around La Source. And so there we go. Now then we'll have a look and see what the gap is between Alonso and Raikkonen in these remaining laps, as now coming round the second part of Blanchimont before approaching the bus stop chicane on the track. Raikkonen's just coming around, just came out those final 2 corners now on the track. So let's see what the gap is this time around. Apologies for the drop of frames towards the end. Let's see now then the gap between 3rd and 4th of Raikkonen and Alonso, and it is 4 seconds. So I think Alonso is just too far back to challenge Raikkonen that time around. I think Raikkonen, of course, unless he has a problem, has done enough to hold off 3rd place in this race now then. So it looks like it's going to be a podium for the Suomi Grand Prix driver to salvage something after Kevin Magnussen crashed out a little earlier on after contact with Pascal Wehrlein, that incident being under investigation after the race of 7 investigations to look at. It's going to be a busy night for me after AOR, that's for sure. I think I said that a little bit earlier on as well. So that's pretty much that then really. But in towards the second to last corner then, so coming around turns 14 and 15 then comes championship leader Lewis Hamilton, as he now heads up towards Blanchimont now then, as the sparks continue to fly out the back of his Etihad now then, flicking the car through the left-hander in towards the second part now then, as he will now come up towards the bus stop chicane now then on the track. Through the final few corners on the track then goes Lewis Hamilton, and round the final few corners, and Lewis Hamilton is about to start his final lap here at Spa-Francorchamps. It's been a brilliant race from Lewis Hamilton. He started on pole. He initially didn't get a good start. Vettel and Giovinazzi got the jump on him. He was able to pass Giovinazzi, but just wasn't able to keep up with Vettel's pace on the first stint there. Thanks to some traffic, he was able to catch up with Vettel and keep on to him, and when he eventually got past, he was just able to pull away as a result. And from that point, no one has stopped Lewis Hamilton since then, and he's looking good to take what will be win number 4 this season, I believe. And well, that's that really, win number 4 for Lewis Hamilton in season number 4. And as mentioned, is this Lewis's season to possibly finally beat his rival to the Drivers' Championship? Who knows really, as he just comes around turn 8 and in towards the corner with no name. And as you can see, Grosjean looking secure in second place to get another podium in the Bud Light Lime this season, and Raikkonen looking good to get back on the podium for the first time since the European Grand Prix at Donington. So Raikkonen looking to get himself back onto the podium this weekend, as Alonso 4th at the moment and continue to pull away from Hülkenberg. Giovinazzi I think is just too far back from Hülkenberg, so Hülkenberg looks settled in 5th place. At the end of it, Ocon looking good to get Martini some more points, even if it is just 1 point. He is starting to gain on Bottas, but I don't think he'll have enough time to get him. He'll have to hope for a mistake from the Finn to try and get 2 championship points instead of 1. But meantime, here comes Lewis Hamilton now then, as he comes up towards the bus stop chicane. He is nearly home now then, flicking the car through these corners now then, around the final 2 corners, and it is going to be Lewis Hamilton who wins the Belgian Grand Prix here at Spa-Francorchamps. Congratulations to him and the Etihad Racing team. It's 2 in a row for the championship leader, and again increases his lead in the Drivers' Championship between himself and Fernando Alonso. Romain Grosjean is going to cross the line in second place, second consecutive podium for the Frenchman there then. Kimi Raikkonen is going to cross the line in 3rd, so getting the Suomi back onto the podium, even if it is just 3rd place. Raikkonen crossing the line in 3rd here in Belgium. Alonso, a fantastic comeback from him after starting last, will finish in 4th place. Not quite the podium, but 4th place will do nice of him, even if he does lose some points to Hamilton in the championship. Hülkenberg finishes in 5th. Giovinazzi close behind in 6th. Bottas is going to pick up 2 points for Eldorado in 7th place. And it begs the question whether Eldorado have dropped back. Bud Light Lime Motorsport overtaking him in terms of pace. Ocon gets some more points for Martini for finishing in 8th place there then. So another good result for Martini, despite Verstappen retiring thanks to a suspicious crash which we do not know the cause of. 16th for Jones, 17th for Dixon, so Jones beating his teammate again, I think for the second race in a row. I might be wrong. Leclerc finishes in 9th. Hartley is going to round off the top 10 in 10th. Vettel will be close behind in 11th. Again, when is that man going to get any launch server? 10th for Hartley, 11th for Vettel. So close to a victory, but like I said, when is that guy going to get any luck this season? Sainz is going to cross the line in 12th place in the shadow, and it's going to be 13th for Daniel Ricciardo. Still some work to do for GOM as he comes out of the final few corners. 13th for Daniel Ricciardo, and there you have it then. In the end, Lewis Hamilton wins here in Belgium. It's 2 in a row for the Brit, and he increases his lead at the top of the championship between himself and teammate Alonso. So there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here was the results of the Belgian Grand Prix here at Spa-Francorchamps. Lewis Hamilton won the race with Romain Grosjean in 2nd, Kimi Räikkönen in 3rd, then it is Fernando Alonso 4th, Nico Hülkenberg 5th, Antonio Giovinazzi in 6th, with Valtteri Bottas 7th, Esteban Ocon in 8th, Charles Leclerc in 9th, with Brendan Hartley in 10th, Sebastian Vettel 11th, then it is Carlos Sainz Jr. 12th, Daniel Ricciardo 13th, Jean-Luc Verne in 14th. And if we scroll down the rest of the field, it is Oliver Rowland in 15th, Ed Jones in 16th, Scott Dixon, the last of the finishes, in 17th, and the 5 retirements were Stoffel Van Dorn, Max Verstappen, Sergio Pérez, Pascal Wehrlein, and Kevin Magnussen. They were the retirements of the Belgian Grand Prix. So let's see who set the fastest lap of the race then. And it was Fernando Alonso with a 1 minute 42.869. He was 300 quicker than Sebastian Vettel in the end. So Fernando going away with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But there you have it then, guys. That has been it for the Belgian Grand Prix this weekend. Hope you enjoyed it. It has been quite an interesting weekend, it must be said, and some action in the top class as well. It's been an exciting race. Not the best one, but still an exciting race nonetheless. A lot of battles towards the end of the Grand Prix. But there you have it then, guys. That has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you then, guys, next weekend at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Our second visit to the UK, this time for the British Grand Prix at the famous Silverstone circuit, where Lewis Hamilton will hope to put on a show for the British fans for a second season in a row. And same with Oliver Rowland, who's in the monster car, hoping to impress the British fans if he can. But there you have it then, guys. That has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. The podium for the top class is coming your way just after this. But until then, I've been JWF1. Thank you very much for watching. Keep an eye out on the Apex Online Racing YouTube channel for round 5 of the F1 leagues itself, because I'm doing commentary for that as well. I'm having to do the live stream as well, but hopefully, I'm hoping there's no issues with that today after the problems we had last week with the PS4 stream. So hopefully you can join me then later on at 8 PM BST. But until then, guys, that's been it. I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching. I've been JWF1, and I will see you guys next weekend at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Until then, take care and enjoy the podium.